In the series of learning programming in C, we have discussed all the loops in C like for, while and do while loops in my previous videos. The working of those loops, their syntax, working of those loops with proper flowchart as well as with the help of programs. We have discussed everything about these loops. So, if you have watched those videos, then definitely you know the differences between these three loops, right? Let me just list down all the differences in this video so that you can have a better idea about the differences among these three loops. So that's exactly I am going to discuss in this video. Difference among the three loops, that is for, while and do while loop, right? So now see the differences. For loop, while and do while loop. First of all, the syntax. I know everybody is aware about the syntax if you have watched my previous videos, right? Next thing, this is what entry controlled loop, this is also entry controlled loop, and this is what exit controlled loop. Why I am saying this? You can check out the video that is in the side button. You will come to know why we are calling this entry control and exit controlled, right? Because here entries, the condition is to be checked while we are entering into the loop. You will get it better when I write the syntax. So first is this one. Second one is the syntax. We write the for keyword. Here we do what? Initialization. This is what syntax for loop. Initialization, semicolon, termination condition, semicolon, update expression, increment or decrement, right? And within this we write some statements. This is our statement block, or you can say this body of the loop. Now for this, what is that syntax? We write while. While is a keyword, for is also a keyword, and we write all the keywords, I hope you know, in small letters. If you write in capital letters, you will get an error, right? So here in while we write some condition, termination condition, and this is what body of the loop. So here we write the statements you want to execute, right? And within this body of the loop we write what? Increment and decrement. Initialization you can do before while loop. Now what about do while loop? First of all we write do, that is a keyword. Here we write some statements, or this is what body of this loop, statement 1, statement 2, something like this. Here only we will do that update or increment or decrement expression you will write here, and after that you write while and we write condition, and after the statement we write what? Semicolon. You can also write this while in the next line, but don't put semicolon after this curly braces. Put the semicolon after this while condition, right? Now next is what? See, that is why it is entry controlled, because before entering into the loop we are checking the condition. If the condition is false, we are not going to enter into the loop, the control will go out of the loop. But here we are not checking the condition while entering into the loop. So we will enter into the loop, the statement would be executed at least once, and then the condition would be checked while we are exiting from the loop. That is why we call it as exit controlled loop. Now third thing is the same, point you can write down in third, that the statements which you write within the body of the loop, that would be executed never executed if the condition is false, both in for and while loop, because we are checking the condition before entering into the loop. But here the statements which you write in the body of the loop will be executed at least once. If the condition is false, then also it will execute at least once, right? Now next you can write a note. We generally use for loop when we know the number of iterations, exactly how many times you have to iterate, you have to repeat the statements, exactly how many times. In that case we use for loop, right? Suppose I want to print a number from 1 to 10. So how many iterations? 10 iterations. So exactly you know number of iterations. In that case we use for loop, right? But suppose in some cases we don't know number of iterations, how many times loop should be executed, these statements should be executed. In that case we can use either while loop or do while loop. See why I am saying like this, because in program we write while 1. This is what I think the most famous, the most popular line we use in a program. While 1 if you write, then this is what? Infinite loop, right? So here suppose I want to print number of integer, right, until a user enter 0 or a negative number, or maybe you can say I want to print number of integers until a user enter 0. So here what you can do, we just use while loop, because here in this case we don't know number of iterations. When you want to stop, when user enters 0, then at that time only program should stop. So we don't know when the user is going to enter 0. Maybe here you can ask printf enter an integer, scanf, right? And here you can put a condition like if the entered number is 0, then out of the loop. how to come out of the loop, that also we'll discuss in next video using a break keyword, right? But here the main thing is, the point you have to understand is what? You don't know number of iterations. Maybe suppose first time the program, I have written a program and that is asking enter an integer, I am entering 1, right? It will print 1. Again it will ask, I am entering now 2. Again it is going to ask enter an integer, I am entering 5, I am entering 6, then 7, then 10, and after that I am suppose entering 0. Then it is going to stop and it will print only 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 10. But suppose next time I am entering 1, 2, and after that I am entering 0. So it will execute only 2 times, it will print only 1 and 2, right? So every time the number of iterations are different. We don't know. Before the program, means before writing the loop, we don't know exactly how many times we are going to, we are going to be in this loop. At that time we use while loop or do while loop, right? But if you know how many times you have to execute this loop, the number of iterations you know, at that time we will use for loop, because here we have to put condition here. If you don't put condition, termination condition here, then the loop would be infinite loop, right? But you can write down the same program with for loop also. Don't write any condition, the loop would be infinite, and within this loop just write down if condition. If the entered number is 0, then break, then also it will come out of the loop. But generally we use for loop when we know exactly how many number of iterations are there. And if you don't know number of iterations, then you use while loop or do while loop, right? Next is what? We use do while loop when we want to execute these statements at least once without checking the condition. There are some scenarios where we want this thing also. That also we'll discuss when we write programs, right? In that case we use do while loop. If you want to check the condition first, you don't want to execute these statements, right, not even a single time without checking the condition, then you can use either for loop or while loop, right? And from these loops, how to choose? If you know the number of iterations, exactly how many iterations, then use for loop. If you don't know, then use while loop, right? So now these are some differences among these for while and do while loop, and this is the most popular one among the programmers actually. Why so? Because all the three things are at the same place, but here all the three things are different places. Here also initialization, then here at one place we have increment or decrement, and another place we have condition, but here all the three things are at same same place. So that is why it is the most popular one we use, right? So I think that's it for this video. Now in next video I am going to tell you about that break statement, how to exit from the loops, how to exit from an infinite loop, how to break an infinite loop. We can also break infinite loop using break statement. So that is we will discuss in next video, everything about break statement, when to use break statement and how to use that statement, right? So now I'll see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye, take care.